What's up, everybody? What's up? If you are watching, go over to the Mama Mary page. If you want to comment, this will be the last one that will be on Facebook. Rest of them will be on our YouTube channel. Say hi to DJ Michelle. What's up, my sister?
What's up? Someone I know won an award this weekend.
Oh, I don't know who you're talking about.
Oh, it was you.
Well, how in the world can I have a great week like I have, except one thing, and we're not going to talk about that. But coming back from winning an award, I get to interview my brother from another mother, Mr. Paul Gervasi. He is the director for Cherri Future. He is the director for the new movie, the original CHARVEL gang, which won Hollywood Film Festival music documentary number one. Number one. Yeah. And he is a bad mofo. We're gonna bring him up. What's up? Are you there, brother? Did he freeze on us?
No.
I gotta.
Are you?
This show.
He froze on us.
Oh well.
He's on froze. Hey, Kara, how you doing, sweetheart? How are you doing? And Kara says, "What's up, everybody?" First of all, Paul, congratulations on the new movie. You are badass as usual.
Thank you.
And some of the things that we were going to talk about is this movie, this documentary movie is about CHARVEL guitars, and it's really cool. And one thing I wanted to ask you, which in the comments I have put links. You can get it on iTunes, you can get it on Roku, you can get it on Google Play. I put links in the comments so y'all can go to those links. You've got to see this movie. You've got to see this movie. But one of the questions I wanted to ask you, Paul, and we're not going to give away too much on the movie. This is going to be a behind the scenes take on the movie. But one of the things I wanted to ask Paul is when the movie starts, you're in this cool looking desert with your CHARVEL guitar. Where in the heck were you at?
Those were the sand dunes outside of Palm Springs.
Cool. So, what kind of story can you give us on the sand dunes and how you came up with that location?
Did you? Originally, it was supposed to be Carson, and he fell out of the film, so I kept doing it. We went to these sand dunes where the camera's on the ground. We were in the middle of a sandstorm, so we couldn't film with the drone that day. So we had to come back a month later in the morning when wasn't windy, and we shot all the drone footage a month later.
Well,
and we spliced those two together, the scenes. You can tell that there's no storm, but there's a storm when you have to really look at it to know not that big of a can tell.
Well, it was really cool looking, brother. Really cool looking. He's come to see if he can get his sound to work properly. But we will, while he's doing that, we will talk about, there he is. Let's bring him back up. Is that better, brother? Is that better?
Just came back. Lost you for a minute.
Okay.
It's the same.
Paul.
Okay. So, Michelle had a question. Michelle, you wanted to ask him a question about how I'll let you do it. So here's our signal.
So the guitar that you made that was red when you were working at CHARVEL, and then you sent it to BC Rich and had it painted black. Is that right?
Yeah, correct.
So is that the only kind of prototype Poly G original that you've got lying around, or is there some others?
You're breaking up a little bit. Can you hear me? You can hear me.
I can hear you now.
We couldn't. I mean, you're cutting in and out.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, it's live. You can't fake this.
Yeah, it is.
That was a one-off, one of a kind.
So that was the only like personal one that you made while you were there? I can fix it, or?
I painted over the BC Rich. I think I scuffed it off, but I talked to someone that I trust, and I said, "Hey, redo this guitar," and he goes, "Leave it. There's a nice story behind it now." So it's black right now.
Wow.
So, brother, we were watching the documentary, and there is so many just amazing artists that you there's 48 interviews, and that's why you guys are going to go watch this, because I mean, of course, Wayne Charvel, Michael Anthony, Warren D. Martini, Steve Vai, uh, Phil Collins, Steve Stevens, uh, I mean, Punky Meadows, Slash, uh, Rudy, Kevin O'Neill, Jeff Ross, Vinny. Oh, by the way, Vinny, if you're watching, do not eat the eggs. The eggs are bad. Inside joke from Rockin' Pod from Vinny to these two chickies. Keith says, Polly. uh, but one of the questions that I
Keith.
there you go. He's back. One of the questions I wanted to ask, brother, is first of all, how did you come up with the locations for these interviews? Because there is different locations, and the one with Phil Collin from Def Leppard, man, he was jamming poolside. Where was that at? It had an iconic little view, and it just looked really cool. So where was that at, brother?
That was at Phil's house, one of his homes. But most of the locations, whatever was logistically worked out, I tried to mix it up. I don't think we used the same location twice. We even did one at my house. The jam with Space, Lisa was at my house in my living room.
And Keith wants to know, what song were you jamming with Rudy and Vinny? And first of all, that was a cool ass plane you came off of. Second of all, how did you manage to do that production with Rudy and Vinny? And have y'all ever thought about putting a band together? Because you really freaking rock.
I wrote the song "The Bull" to sort of fit Vinny's playing style, which is sort of a slow groove, mixed in with Jimi Hendrix's Machine Gun, something that kind of something I knew I could strum, and Rudy just a little bass part, counterpart, and Valerie Ince helped us put that together. Hollis, Joey Ventura. That was a hangar out in Chino, and the jet was, I think, owned by a doctor. And Vinny and Rudy, you got my number if you want to start a band.
Well, I just want to know, can I play tambourine on that one? So, Michelle, you had a question that you wanted to talk about. So I'm going to turn it over to you for just a second, sister. And by the way, Mark says, Polly, you rock.
Paul, I wanted to know, how were you able to actually get as many super famous musicians to agree to these interviews?
You broke up. Say it again.
How were you able to get all of the musicians to agree to the interviews? Was it difficult? Was it easy? I know you probably know some of them, but
you just be a professional, be nice, and have it to get let them realize this film and let the guitars. So it wasn't too. People were difficult. Some people, there was political layers going on that they just couldn't do an interview. I can't go into, but a lot of them I already knew, and then I had help from Peter Kalish, Valerie Ince, Lisa Paulus. Just be nice and network, and really, it helped that I'm a guitar player and I know the inside and out there, like Slash is the way he plays. So that helped a lot. I'm not just the Joe Blow director from up the street.
Well, you are a badass guitar player. And if nobody knows, which the new ones watching, go look up Trouble in Heaven, because this is him right here. He's badass to the bone. And yeah, on my 50th birthday, I'm going to hire your ass. Mark says, Michelle, read this question for him.
put a killer on it, Paul. It's because Paul is in the industry and everybody loves him. That's a true statement, Mark. That's for sure.
Oh gosh. So
that's hilarious. That's like an inside joke.
When he says that, I mean, but you have been around the LA music scene, the LA San Bernardino, like the music scene in one form or another, like almost your entire life, right? Or your entire adult life, I should say.
Okay, Michelle. Let's see, Michelle.
Yeah, I'm losing the audio.
Yeah.
Oh.
What was
Repeat your question, Michelle, so he can hear you again, sweetheart.
So I said,
Alpha question?
Paul said that, you were in the industry, and I said, but it's true that most of your entire adult life, you have been in the music industry and around LA in some form or another. Isn't that right?
That's why I moved here. I was a musician when I first moved. I'm still a musician. It's pretty annoying when I get introduced as just a producer or a director. So yeah, it's been a while.
Well, that's because you're a jack of all trades and you are magnificent in every way. Michelle Afro says Paul is the bomb, and she's got a smiley face with hearts. So, Paul, one of the questions I wanted to ask you is,
Thank you.
one of the questions I wanted to ask you is how awesome was it to sit down and just talk with Steve Vai? And that interview, was that done in his personal studio? Because there were some killer guitars just hanging on the wall behind him. And it was a really just really killer, place to have an interview, especially with an iconic musician like that.
Which one you speaking about? You broke up.
Steve Vai, the interview with Steve Vai.
Oh, okay. That was in his studio at his compound, and that was pretty. That was cool. It was quick, but it was cool.
Right. And, of course, we've seen our buddy Steve Lynch. But what we want everyone to know is what made you decide, Paul, that you wanted to put out this movie? Uh, we know that you worked for Charvel Guitars 81 to 83, and you were a member of the original Charvel gang. Uh, and you've been working on this for 5 years. 5 years. So I'm glad that your baby was finally born because I know you've been working really hard on it, really, really hard on it. So I want to, congratulate you on that because I know you said you've been working on it for 5 years and that's a lot of work. How were you able to do 48 interviews? How long did that take of it, brother?
I think around the film process, probably 3 years to do the interviews and sort through who was going to be interviewed and who wasn't part of the story, and then chase.
Guys, this is Live and in Charge, and he is in the Hollywood Hills. He will be back. He will come back in. Please stick with us. You cannot fake this. It is live.
No, not at all.
There he is.
Here he is.
He's in the Hollywood Hills, guys. Can you hear us, brother?
Mary, do you think if you cut me out that his connection might be better, sweetie?
About that.
Oh, no, it's okay. I'll bring you down,
Did you
Michelle, and
catch?
see.
We lost Stella.
No, I was bringing her down to see if that connection made it any better with you. Does that make the connection any better with you, brother?
I can hear you better.
You can hear me better? Okay.
Yeah.
Michelle, we love you.
Love you. Just leave me down in the lobby for a while. I'll message you questions on Messenger.
All right. All right, brother. So, since we're having some technical stuff, that's okay. Michelle said she'll stay down in the lobby. So, you've been working on this
Okay.
for you've been working on this for a long time, and we don't want to give too much up about the movie because everybody needs to go watch this movie. But give us just a little bit of information about the movie, uh, so the ones that are now hearing about it will want to go out and get it, brother.
The original Charvel gang is in history of how Charvel started, Jackson Guitar started, up until the time it moved and got corporate and moved to Ontario, which kind of that's when it dissipated. So the movie's basically capturing the magic years and how it all happened. And when you're making history, you don't always know time. So it was an important movie to have made. It's amongst a lot of stupid documentaries. This one was really important.
Well,
You'll see it.
you took an awesome story, and you know you took an awesome story and you brought in some really iconic musicians. I mean, if I would have been sitting there with Doug of Whitesnake and Dio, I would have been fangirling like a little bitch. I'm just gonna be honest about but that interview, was that interview taken in his, he's got a show in Las Vegas. Was that interview taken in his green room at Las Vegas, or was that his personal home? Because that was pretty cool little setup there.
Yeah, that was in Vegas in his dressing room with I shared with Howard Leese. He was doing that show in Vegas. Forget the name of it. And like I say, whenever someone was available, we jumped in the car and brought the crew and went out there and shot it.
And Michelle, she sent me a question for you. She said, didn't you receive an interview, or didn't you receive a Schecter endorsement a while back? She says she really likes your career and she's been kind of following you.
What was the question about Schecter?
She asked if you were endorsed by Schecter. She said she's been following your career and she really likes following your career.
Yeah, Schecter was from the Cherri Future film. That's when we started, did a deal together, because I play a 7-string. So my music, opposed to the Valence types, and I'm more new metal. That's a whole different side of me.
Right. And she said in the interview location where you interviewed John is that in the guitar factory there? Are the necks and bodies behind him? Is that where the interview was filmed, in the guitar factory?
Warren DiMartini? Which one was it?
She just put John. John. Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
John who? Huh?
John Gordon.
Oh, Sean McNabb.
Yeah.
Yes, Sean McNabb, or what? I can't see what she's writing.
She said John. Um, I'm dyslexic. Gaudesi. I think it was in the factory.
I'm not sure we're talking about.
It's when the guitars, all the bodies of the guitars were hanging up, and it was just wood. They weren't painted. But I guess since
What
we
was the
can't
name
figure
again?
that,
John or
it was John. She said John. I don't see a John on here, sister.
oh, John Gaudesi.
Yeah, John Gaudesi.
Yeah, John Gaudesi.
Yeah, she's asking if his interview was done in the
So
actual factory.
that was at the Schecter factory. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you can read the comments. That makes me feel less. And I noticed that. I noticed. I noticed when you did Phil's interview and Nuno's interview, it was by a nice poolside and with one hell of a view. Was that taken? Where was that taken at?
We're at Nuno's place in the Hollywood Hills.
Cool. And first of all, I want to talk about the blooper reel at the end, so everybody watches the whole movie. The end of it, the whole movie is awesome, with a lot of knowledge about Schechter and Jackson and all that, with a lot of iconic musicians. But we were going to talk about the funny part at the end. You had like a little blooper reel with you and Slash, you and Rudy, and you and Vinny, and in the hangar. Tell us a little funny story about that, because y'all were laughing because you were doing bloopers. Tell us about that, brother.
Like I say, most interview, by the time we're done and they know that I know what they like for dessert, or I know everything about the guitar playing, to the guitar strings, to the gauge they use, they like me. And, we end up cracking jokes and doing funny stuff. And, if I'm feeling comfortable enough. The thing in the hangar was kind of rehearsed with Vinny and Rudy. Um, they were both playing shenanigans that day, but I was playing the game too. And the producer got involved and thought it was serious. And I'm like, no, we're fucking joking. And we did a bunch of takes, and that's how you get a super. But
Yeah, I liked it
yeah, it's
how
just
that came
kind of
up. I was like,
fun thing to do.
take 25. I was like, they were having the time of their life, is what they were having, man.
I think the Vinny and Rudy.
Michelle said the guitar that Oz Fox played in the movie, the guitar that Oz Fox played in the movie, there were symbols along the fretboard. Do you know of these? Are they the figure eight, or are they infinity symbols?
You'd have to ask Oz. I don't know. That was a GJ2 Grover's last company, so I really don't know. But I know that I don't know that was custom made for him. It just sort of, the colors fit. So I really don't know the background. Let's ask Oz.
So Michelle, you got to get a hold of Oz and find that out, because I noticed it too, and I was like, that's kind of cool. That looks like an infinity symbol. So, out of all the interviews that you did on your movie, for you personally, what will always be one of the ones that just like blew you away? I know you got to jam out with Spacey T and Lisa. Uh, you had several parts where you were actually either jamming out with people or they were jamming out after they did their interview. What was that like, getting to sit there and watch? Which one just really just was like something that maybe was on your bucket list, to sit down and talk to this person and actually sit down and have them jamming out for you personally?
Oh, that was Michael Anthony. That one, because that was a big deal. Like Doogie had set up that whole, we had set up the lights and the camera and the amps. Like a couple of hours before Miles showed up, and we were at his, where he has all his guitars and cars. It was a big warehouse, and he walked in. That was one of the funnest days. But also Van Halen is like Pasadena. It's like that was like Beatles to Liverpool, baby. Come on.
I
So that
know,
was
right?
very surreal to be amongst all the Van Halen pinball machines and all the road cases and rooms filled with guitars and all this Van Halen stuff around, and Mike being such a nice, and us up talk about the bass parts on Led Zeppelin records. It was just more like broing out, and we were there for like 5 hours. So he's so nice. He played cover, and he showed me his hot sauce. He showed me his. He doesn't have a Cobra, but he has that what are the Ford versus Ferrari? He's got one of those cars,
Right.
which is a race car, and he was showing me that and just showing me personal stuff, and that was that was probably the best day. I mean, they're all were good.
Right.
The Slash day was, it depends how the level of that, and if there's a manager in the other room and you're on a time limit, it's a little different.
Right, right.
But some of them are really loose and fun. Yeah, but for Head of Corn, we went up to Sacramento and to his hotel room, and then we went to the show the next day, and I got the footage on stage of Corn. So like I tried to get them to play as much as I could instead of just boring interviews. I knew that I wanted a lot of guitar playing and a lot of stage action and a lot of behind the scenes to make the film more interesting. But the stories about Charvel guitars and Jackson guitars and how it affected these guys' lives and my life. So,
Well, it's really cool how, like you said, that you worked that story in with the live footage, with, them playing. And, like you said, there was one, I got it in my notes here. I got it in my notes. I got it in my notes that I wanted to ask you. Uh, like the guy, well, I don't want to call him the guy because I had it written down. I feel silly now. But like, hang on. This is one that I really liked. Ah, and I can't find it. The cool part where he's pulling up on the dang chopper. I love motorcycles. I'm trying to find my notes. I mean that you wrote.
boy,
Yeah, I mean, you even made like, and one of them pulled up in this badass fucking sports car, and so I mean, it was really cool of how you put it all together. You were telling the story, the artists were telling the story, and they had their guitars and was telling, what the first ones were, and what made them, get a Charvel or get a Jackson. But you also, had the live music with them, and some you were jamming out with. And I just want to tell you, you did an amazing job, brother, of putting this together. And I could sit here, just like Cherry Future, I could sit here and watch it every day and not be bored and see something new. Because when I watched it a second time, which I watched it today for a second time, and I was like, I didn't even notice that last time. So there's a lot of little, what I call, Easter eggs. You really got to be paying attention, because there's a lot of core stories in the stories. There's little Easter eggs that you might miss if you don't watch it more than once. And I mean, it was just really iconic, I think.
yeah, thank you. I tried to make it really organized, to where you could follow the and it made sense. But uh, a couple of I can't control what was said from a lot of these guys, and a lot of these guys embellished their stories, which was kind of funny. And then they changed the story a little bit. I got a little heat for that, but there's a disclaimer in the beginning of the film, so hold my
Yeah,
beer.
there's a disclaimer that says, "Don't let true stories get take away from the fun stories," right? Something like that, or close to it.
What Booth story? Keith Richards or Mark Twain?
Michelle asked, "Did you get a chance to jam with everyone that you interviewed for the movie?"
No, there wasn't enough time. Sometimes Steve Stevens only had so much time. Steve Vai had so much time. Steve Lynch, Randy Rand we were in a hotel room. Yeah, it's just some don't want to play. Kevin from the Bus had his whole thing laid out, which made it really easy for me. I jammed with Ronnie Mancuso, and he's a great guitar player, and I've been a fan of him for a long time. And I just played a little bass. Spacey T and Lisa played bass.
Yeah, and why was Lisa the
Just
only
sort of, I
female
was
in the
dying to get
movie,
more
brother?
band footage. The only
Yeah, I was
female
gonna ask.
musician in the movie, and I tried to get Nancy really close to getting Nancy Wilson, but it didn't happen. It's hard, you know.
Dude, Nancy Wilson of Heart. Oh, yes. Well, I was sitting there watching you and Spacey T and Lisa jam out, and I was like, wait a minute. That's Lisa. That's a chick. Heck yeah. Rock on.
Hey, Lisa, see, we're giving you a shout out.
Yeah, we're giving you a shout out, girlfriend. Girl power. Woo! So, brother, what's up next for
That's
Paul?
at my house in my living room.
Was it? Oh, dude, that's iconic. That's iconic. Michelle said, Paul, Roger said, by the way, Paul, I'm getting a new Thunderbird. But Michelle's, go ahead, brother.
I'm much keeping everything quiet now, but we're in the studio with a new Trouble in Heaven record, and you know it's going to follow that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And if you still need that DJ part for that movie, I'll come to Cali. And Michelle said, Steve Vai talks about the guitar he played in Crossroads. He thinks it was maybe a prototype. Do you know from your time working with CHARVEL, would these prototypes be returned to CHARVEL, or did the artist get to keep them?
Oh, Steve kept the guitar. He doesn't know where it is now. That was the gray area when they changed the headstock, and that guitar would have been a CHARVEL, but that with the Randy Rhoads headstock. That's what I think, the knowledge that I have. But yeah,
Well,
Steve, they always kept the guitars.
But I tell you what, actually seeing that zebrawood guitar up close, that sucker was freaking beautiful. And him talking about how he had them do the metal, bent over the back, so he wouldn't mess it up when he was
Oh,
stringing.
Michael Anderson.
Yes. And then getting to see the Jim Beam guitar up close and hearing the story behind all that. I'm telling you guys, you've got to watch this documentary because there is so much just killer, exciting, just knowledge. If you are a guitar person, bass person, or music person that just likes to get to know the behind the scenes story about different things like this, dude, you are going to fall in love with this documentary because it has so much information in it and so much, from different musicians from all spectrums of music. I mean, you got Slash, you got Phil Collins from Def Leppard, you got Brian Head Welch from Korn, you got Steve Stevens, Punky Meadows, Steve Vai. I mean, it's just, a wide variety. And I can't go over all 48 names because you got to watch it. But it's just a wide variety of styles of musicians telling their stories of their Schecter, I mean, not their Schecter, but their Charvel guitar journey. And it's really cool to hear, hear them play and hear their take on it. And I just want to tell you, I know you've been working hard, and you have really knocked it out the park with this one, brother. I'm a huge fan of Cherry Future. I love Cherry Future. Could watch it every day, and now I've got another one I can watch every day. So I am just excited to see what's next, because I know whatever it is, I'm gonna fall in love with it. Michelle said, "So I know Wayne
Oh, thank
Charvel's."
you so much.
Oh, you're welcome, brother. You know I love you, bro. Michelle said Wayne Charvel's house and workshop was lost in the forest fire a few years back. Obviously, you interviewed them prior to that fire. Do you know if they continue? She said, "Do you know, are they continuing on with their work there?"
Yeah, I just talked to Michael Charvel. A little GoFundMe. They raised like 50,000. That got some of it started, but they need to do another one and raise. They need to raise more money to get the factory going. But they're still in business making Wayne guitars. Yes.
Awesome deal. Well, I tell you what, if they put one up, brother, you let me know, and me and Michelle will do a special show and draw attention to it and get people to go to that link and donate, and we'll get that factory back open.
Yeah. The Charvels are good people. They're family. So
Right.
they
And any
deserve
family
it.
of
And the
yours
Wayne guitars are really nice guitars.
and any family of yours is considered a family of mine, brother. So anything we can do to help. And that was actually I what was really cool was Wayne Charvel was in the movie, and he was talking about how he was a kid working in the shop. What kind of guitar was that he was playing? What style is that called? Because that was really wicked looking, and it had his name, Wayne Charvel, but the
That
design
was
of the kit, that was what, brother?
that was just a strap body with that was just a strap body with a Wayne guitar as the headstock, and that was one of the Wayne guitars. And I was really blown away how good of a guitar player Wayne Charvel is.
I
So
know his
everyone
fingers.
needed to see that, like how good this guy was.
Yeah, his fingers were going so fast I couldn't keep up with it.
Yeah, well, yeah, him and Wayne and Michael Charvel, great guitar players.
And she said, Michelle sent me just a message. She says, we know that that one interview that you said was like a bucket list thing, sitting down with him and seeing all the Van Halen stuff. She says, which interview was most enjoyable and why? In other words, was there an interview where there was a lot of silliness going on and you just got to be yourself and it wasn't so stricted? Is there an interview that was just really just enjoyable for you, and why? Besides Michael.
Well, yeah, all of them are pretty cool. Sometimes they start out a little stiff, depending on what management's involved, and then how much time you had. But uh, the Carlos Cavasso one, excuse me, and they had lunch ready, and we sat down and ate lunch first, and didn't even feel like working after that, and we were just talking about guitars and talking shop, and I I think he had a flamingo guitar or an acoustic nylon string guitar, and I said, "Why don't you noodle on that in the backyard?" And that's how that came about. And we spent a lot of hours there at his house, and the Steve Stevens one was crazy because we showed up. We had like an hour. He shows up in a brand new black Ferrari. I think it was a Maserati, black Maserati. And then we went to
Right.
his locker to get the guitars, and the place was tiny. It was tiny little storage locker for a guitar. But where in the hell are we going to do the interview? Again, we're meeting these guys wherever they wanted to meet. We don't make them come to us. We got the crew and we went to them. And my friend Ahmed had a studio next door and offered to do the studio, offered his studio to do the interview. And this is like 10 minutes before he arrived. So I go, okay, Steve, we're next door here. And we walk in his plush studio, and he's thinking we had this all arranged and everything, which we didn't. And that interview was just really awesome. He's like just one of my favorite. He's just such a badass guitar player. Really nice guy. Really played with some of my favorite. He played with Thompson Twins, who's one of my favorite alternative artists. So that was really cool. Steve Vai was interesting. That was at his house. That was getting a time limit. We went way over as usual. Slash was at his office.
Yeah,
I
I
would say
remember.
another really Brian had Welsh, because we met him at the room after a show, and we hung out a lot. We hung out in the lobby, and I hung with the whole band that day. And so that was really, we're Californians. They're Californians. I love Korn. Fun interview. There was a lot of talking off camera too. So, and then the next day he invited us to the Korn show, and he let me. I had full access. The crew to shoot on stage. Imagine a Korn show on
Dang.
stage, and that was really fun and loose, and hanging in the bus with him and stuff. So that was, when you're doing a doc like this, it's sometimes it's really fun. You're like, wow, I'm in their world now. They're letting me in. If they
Right.
respect you, they'll let you in. So
Exactly.
you better
And
play
that's
guitar if you're gonna get inside.
well, and that's the thing about you, Paul, is you're real and you're just a great guy, and you are very respectful, and you show true respect for the musicians. So I could see why they would just be like, dude, come hang on the bus with us. Now, after the show and you hanging on the bus with them, the party's on. I don't know if he probably remembered the next day, but, it's really cool, to get to do that. And, I just, I mean, I'm going to watch this again and again because I guarantee there's different stuff that I missed. But you were talking about the one with the Thompson, that Steve Stevens, when that car pulled up, because the camera brought it to the car pulling up, and I'm sitting there going, okay, who's this gonna be? And he gets out, and I'm like, holy shit.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay. Little Billy Ide, a little Michael Jackson, little Thompson twin going on there. So there's so much in
Yeah,
this movie.
that was all staged. That was all staged. I had him pull in and out a couple times, and then he took off. So
Well,
that
it looked
was
awesome.
I
It didn't
call
look
B-roll for
staged.
my
uh,
extra footage to cut into that. Have people do extra stuff. Yeah.
and Temperate Sun says, great dude and fantastic director. They're talking about you, Paul. So they've been following your music and following your director
It's a good
career, and they give you lots of kudos. And they're really
listen,
cool
right?
guys.
Yeah, they're writing some great songs. I'm doing I think I'm directing their next video, Wall of Glass, and it's just by if you enjoy your work, you'll never work a day in your life.
right? And they said Carlos jamming on the acoustic guitar was amazing.
Yeah, I was kind of blown away like he could play like that. I had no idea, but I was always pushing him for like looking around their house, seeing what I could get into, what kind of trouble I could make. So I yeah, I was pretty blown away. And that's what I
And
wanted the
Susie,
fans to see. Sort of, I wanted the fans to sort of go ahead.
no, you go ahead, brother.
I
You wanted the
can't see
fans
what
to.
is Susie saying?
Susie says Polly is the best.
Yeah, I kept pushing for them to do something that fans don't see. I wanted the people to feel like they're in their world, like welcome to their world. This is what it's really like. And just like race car drivers or sports guys, they all sit and beat their chests and talk stories and talk smack. And that's I wanted that people, the viewer, to get that feeling that they were at their house or whatever.
Well, and
What
you
would it look like
accomplished
to be
that.
inside their life?
You accomplished that. Michelle said you jammed with Ronnie in the movie, and she said the story he tells about Jeff Beck is so cool. Do you hear a lot of these stories for the first time? When did you hear a lot of these stories for the first time when you did these interviews?
No, most of them I knew. You have to really be researched before you walk into something. So almost all of them I knew ahead of time. And it's funny now, people are coming out of the woodwork, and I'm hearing stories I never heard before because of the movie's getting some traction in press. And I was on Eddie Trunk the other day, and and only the best you can do with what you have and the information and the people that are available. But it's still, I'm really proud of the Charvel Gang movie.
Well, you did an awesome job, brother, and I so look forward to what the future holds, not only for your movie career, but for your music and just you in general, because you're doing some really awesome stuff. This is the second movie you've done that I have got to see that just blew me away, and you've got a badass band, Trouble in Heaven, and you're just an awesome dude, and you've really, you know since our first interview, you've been really cool to me and sending people that are really awesome for me to interview. So I just want you to know, brother, that anything that you do and anything that you need to get the word out about, you just contact me, brother, and I will get you back on here and we will make it happen. And I mean, hopefully I get to come to Cali soon and we actually get to hang out in person. But you're really kicking ass, brother, and you're really doing the thing, and I'm just super proud of you, dude. Super proud.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, we'll have to party at the ranch too out by Palm Springs. But I want to shout out to Danny DeArmond. He was behind the scenes producer, really did a lot of help. Rich Schaefer has always been helping out. Just so many. There's just a small village. Craig Sussman for helping out. MVD Entertainment for taking us on and dealing. They don't think. I don't think they actually knew what they were getting into with me. Yeah. Um, cool. We got to run
Mich-
here. So, Michelle, good to you for half the show, and
there, she came up to
Mother
say
Mary
goodbye to you.
Mayhem, always being on.
Well, we love you, brother, and guys, go watch this documentary. It is iconic. Paul, thank you so
But you,
much. And you have a great night, brother. And you just keep us in touch and up to date on what's coming with Paul, and we'll get you back on here, brother.
go watch the movie, the original Charvel Gang, YouTube, Apple TV, Google Play,
Roku.
Everywhere. Request it.
Yeah.
Peace. I'll see you.
Peace. Bye, babe. All right, we're going to bring Michelle up. First of all, it's awesome every time we have Paul on. And, even with technical difficulties, because he is in the California hills, and we still make it happen, and we still have a bunch of fun. You've got to go order the original CHARVEL gang. Go order it and go let Paul know what you thought of it. Send him a message, and you could also find him on let's see, I put it in the comments. Let me go all the way.
IMBD.
Yeah, IMBD. I put the link to his IMBD. If you are an actress or an actor or anything, or just a musician that you just want to keep in touch, because when I went over there, I noticed that he was involved in other movies as well. So, it's just always an honor to have Paul on here. So, Paul, we love you, brother. Thank you for being such a cool cat about the technical difficulties and everything, and just super excited to see what the future holds for Mr. Paul Gervasi. So,
Mary, are you going to go to LA for New Year's with us if you can swing it with your job?
well, you see, since done been invited to the ranch, if he's in town, just might have to make that happen. But
let me see.
Just might have to make that happen. We are still live, and some of y'all, Michelle, give it away at the beginning of the show, and I know y'all seen it on my Facebook. But yes, we did bring Promotion Company of the Year home from the Josies.
That's right.
Yes, we did.
Second year in a row.
By the way, this one is dedicated to my sister Jimmy Sue. I love you, baby girl.
Yeah.
But we are good. I know pictures don't do this baby justice, so we are going to break this bad boy out and show y'all up close and personal. Yeah, baby. Yeah.
It's really beautiful.
But I couldn't do it without my fans. I couldn't do it without people like Michelle, like Paul, the bands I work with. When COVID stops acting stupid, me and Michelle's got some big plans. Can't give out too much information, but I can tell you this much. We are going to look at 58 acres.
So I want to talk about LA for New Year's, because
thank you, Susie. Thank you, Susie. Now, what do you want to talk about, LA? Why do you want to talk about?
So Roger and I, we're going to go. We've made up our mind. We're going to go. It's just whether we can kidnap you or not.
Why? Do y'all want to see some more dancing in the freeway?
Hey, there's plenty of time being stopped in LA to be dancing, but I tell you, we'd be moving faster than we was on I-40 the other night. But anyway, that's a totally different story. We won't go there. But so, and just look, I had a list written down that's in this pile over here. I wasn't going to dig it out. But on Wednesday the 29th, well, we would have to choose between 3 shows. Now, we could either go see the Go-Go's, because Roger loves Belinda Carlisle, at the Microsoft Theater out there, or we could go see Black Label Society at the Wilton with Armored Saint and Prong, or we could just go to the Whiskey and see Hookers and Blow and Dizzy Reed.
Yep. Or we could do all of it, and we can meet up with Paul.
No, those are all 3 on the 29th. We would have to pick. And then on the 30th, Jack Russell's Great White is playing the Whiskey. And then the 31st, LA Guns is playing at the Whiskey. Then, let me get on down here. New Year's Day, our buddies, Faster Pussycat, is playing at the Whiskey. So that's like boom, 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 boom. 4 nights in a row. Like just just give me a cot. Just lock me in. It'll be all right. Just give us a cot, blow up air mattress. We'll take it upstairs and we'll just sleep there. What about tickets? You need us to do anything while you have us locked in, because we would just be at the whiskey. There's this Iranian dude down in Sunset Strip, and he's got this little parking cove in here behind this little beauty salon. Really super nice. That's where we always park. It's past the fancy, I'll never be able to afford it car showroom, with the Ferraris and the Porsches and the, all that stuff, whatever.
Well,
motorcycles.
Time out. If I go and Paul is in town, we are going to have to find a day where we can go hang out with our brother, Paul Gervasi, at his ranch.
Yeah, or if he's in town, like the last time we went and hung out with Paul. We just went out and had a late lunch with him. We took him some muscadine wine. No, was it muscadine wine or was it Rusty Tractor wine from the Rusty Tractor vineyard?
Paul says, "Hell yeah!" See, that's what I'm talking about. I'm making time for you, Paul. If I come to LA, I told her the only way I will come is if we can make one day for Paul Gervasi if he's in town.
So our friends that is in Black Star Centers, that's Tony Tonight and Rich, they're opening for either LA Guns or Faster. I really think it's Faster. I'll have to double check that and ask them, but yeah, Black Star Centers, I think they're opening for Faster, pretty sure, but I should have had that pulled up before I said. But they're opening for one of them at the Whiskey, and they've played the Whiskey before. They're a really cool band, and you'll like them. They're really nice people, and there's a lot of stuff to do in LA, during the daytime when all the night people sleep. We could get out and mill about and go and do and see and visit and so on and so forth. So. But
well, all I know is I hope Paul puts out a Cherri Future 2.
Well, I tell you what, I'm excited to hear some New Trouble in Heaven.
Amen, sister, because they are bad to the bone. He said they're working on a new album.
I know.
They're working on a new album. I can't wait to hear it.
Mm-hmm. I know. And
it's gonna be killer.
And he's so talented. Paul, I know he's not in the interview anymore, but he's done a lot of stuff in LA. Like he used to do something with the Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp every year. And I think he got too busy to kind of do that. But the year that we went to Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, Paul was busy. I think he was shooting a music video for somebody or whatever, and I think he had to bow out that year. But when Roger played, him and his girlfriend, they were gracious enough to come down and hang with me at the Whiskey and watch Roger play. That was really super cool. But I'm excited. I'm really excited that when he said that a lot of people who he did not interview had contacted him, with more stories and more information. And it's like, well, my gosh, this is such an interesting topic that everyone is really super interested in. Maybe there might be a volume 2. I mean, there might be a,
we don't know, but everybody's got to go buy this one.
Yeah.
So they're up to date and they can follow it all the way. Because I'm telling you, we cannot give out too much about the movie because we want you to go see it. But I'm telling you, when I watched it this second time, I'm telling you, I found little Easter eggs that I did not notice last time. And what I mean by little Easter eggs is little surprises that I didn't notice last time. I was like, I don't remember that. So, and I noticed that with, Trouble and Cherri Future. Paul's movies are awesome. They are awesome. And he's a great guy. And, he's not, like he says, he's not just a director. He's a musician. He produces music videos for, bands. He's worked with Melissa Manchester. He's worked with Lady Gaga. He's worked with the Intemperate Sons. He does
Autograph, Frank Domino.
Autograph. He does so much. He does so much. So if you are someone that is connected to music, or if you are someone who it just is a music fan and really wants to follow a very, very interesting story, you got to follow Paul Gervasi, because he does a little bit of everything.
So I hope that there's some of my friends from the Monsters of Rock cruise listening in, because on the cruise every year, they are always playing, old music videos and movies that feature bands from the 80s, because that's primarily, bands from the 80s and stuff. And like they had a documentary about a photographer in LA. They call him Zoles. I can't really pronounce his whole name. He's a real famous rock photographer. And actually on the ship was the first time that Roger and I had seen that documentary. But if for all my friends that go on the Monsters of Rock cruise every year, go check out the original CHARVEL gang, because you guys will really enjoy it, especially if you're a musician.
Yes.
You will really, really enjoy it.
So all you Monsters of Rock cruisers,
yeah,
go watch the movie. You can get it on iTunes, you can get it on Google Play, you can get it on Roku, you can get it on, you can Apple TV. You can get it on Apple TV, and before you know it, it's going to be on Amazon too, because Cherri Features are on Amazon. So go watch it and go follow. I'm going to put this up. Well, I put it up in the comments.
Interesting enough, Cherri Future was the very first movie that I had ever streamed. I just watched cable. Like I had never, I don't buy music from those like Spotify. I don't. I buy CDs, and I'm old. I buy vinyl. Really, I'm old school. I mean, I just ordered a album from Crocus, but
well, I know of Trouble
that I had ever bought. And I remember Paul laughed at me when I said, he goes, "Can I get this on a DVD?" And he laughed. He goes, "DVD."
Well, I know when Trouble in Heaven, if he gets hard copies and he does vinyl, I want one. I want to buy one of the new albums.
I have a CD. I have a CD. It's the one that's in my car.
Yeah. I want to buy one, because I want it to go right up here next to Jasmine Cain. And yeah, because I love me some Polly. Well, sister, it's been great hanging out with you and Paul Gervasi. It is getting late, and I've got to go to my day job tomorrow. So, and you are still at your day job. You need to go home and get some rest.
Yeah,
but guys, go watch the original CHARVEL gang, and we will get Paul on here on a later date when there's not so many technical issues, to where we can, if you have any questions, or if you want to see us getting back on so that you can find out more information on Paul, just send us a message and we will get him back on. But go get the movie, and go show Paul some love. You can find him on Facebook. Let him know that you love the documentary. And, if you make sure that you pass the word on, and because Paul's just awesome, and he's a real dude, and he loves his fans, and he loves everybody. As long as you show respect and you're professional and you're just a cool dude or a cool chick, I mean, he's cool to you, and that's what I love about Paul. What last words do you have for everybody, sister?
So my last words are, if you love rock and roll and you love documentaries, go check out this. Just take some time to sit down and with a cup of coffee or a cocktail, whatever time of day it may be for you, and rent it. There's a lot. Like there's how many did you say? 48?
Yes.
There's 48 musicians, and these are heavy hitters. These are just like, these are not people that you don't know. These are people that, if you're like Mary and I, you've grown up listening to their music and watching them on MTV and seeing them live in person and so on and so forth. So it'll be worth the while to sit down and just take a load off your feet and don't worry about the world outside and the news and everything that's going on, and absorb some culture.
There you go. Well, this is Mama Mary's Mayhem. We want to send a special thank you to our guest today, Mr. Paul Gervasi, musician extraordinaire, director, just badass brother from another mother. And I want to say I love you, Michelle. And guys, Michelle is my new co-host. This is only her second show with me, and she knows Paul, so she wanted to be on this one. But we are going to be having a lot more exciting stuff coming up. Next Tuesday, Michelle. Next Tuesday, we got a Tuesday twofer. And it's a both of them have girls in it. We've got Shallow Point and Rock 1016. Yes, female rockers. Woo! Yes,
We
buddy.
need more female rockers.
So we love you guys. Until next Tuesday. Peace out. Stay safe, because Mama Mary and
DJ Michelle.
said so.
Good night, everyone.
Night, everyone.